Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friendlies, brought to you by the Women's Game. Today we have Arsenal and U.S. Women's National Team right back, Emily Fox. It was so fun to catch up with Foxy. We talked all about Arsenal, Emma Hayes, and she even gave us her go-to skincare tip at the very end, which all of you wanted to know when we asked for fan questions, so make sure you stay tuned to hear that. I have already been implementing it into my own routine. This week has been an absolute onslaught of women's soccer news. On Tuesday morning, we learned that Arsenal manager Jonas Adval had resigned after a pretty poor start to the WSL and Champions League seasons for Arsenal. We taped this interview with Emily Fox before that news came out, so we obviously don't get a chance to discuss it with Emily in this episode. But the search for a new manager will be on for Arsenal, as assistant coach Reminisce will be taking on the head coaching role in an interim capacity. In other news, the NWSL Boston team announced its new name on Tuesday, Boss Nation FC. The name and the marketing campaign was met with a lot of unhappiness from fans and the women's soccer community alike. If you didn't see the marketing campaign video, basically it used a balls pun that felt at best off base and tasteless, and at worst not inclusive to the trans community. I definitely think the name could use some work, but more importantly, I felt that the marketing campaign centered men's sports in a weird way. The campaign highlighted and shouted out all of the professional men's sports teams in Boston, without referencing the women's professional sports teams that already exist in Boston. The Boston Fleet, which is the women's professional hockey team, or the Boston Renegades, which is tackle football, or Beantown Rugby. I think what I'll say on this is that it felt like an old iteration of women's sports to me, from a time when we were fighting against men's sports, or from a time when we were trying to demand a seat at a table full of men. And to me, it feels like women's sports are past that. Women's sports and women's sports fans have our own table now, and we don't need to center men's sports in our conversations anymore. To be fair, the club took full accountability on Wednesday and apologized for their misstep, saying, "While we had hoped to create a bold and buzzworthy brand launch campaign, we missed the mark. We fully acknowledge that the content of the campaign did not reflect the safe and welcoming environment we strive to create for all, and we apologize to the LGBTQ plus community and to the trans community in particular for the hurt we caused. We are proud to be a part of the most inclusive sports league in the world and are committed to upholding the unifying values that define the NWSL and our club. Thank you to all who have held us accountable by calling for us to do better. We hear you and we will together." The statement is really clear. They apologize. And I do believe that intentions matter. I also believe in second chances when there is accountability and growth. And with that said, I hope that the club takes feedback from people close to the city and from the fans. I'm from Massachusetts, so I am, of course, rooting for the club to succeed despite the rocky start. I genuinely want the NWSL to grow successfully, and with great cities like Boston as an important part of it. So I think this is a great opportunity for the club and for all of us to learn and grow and try again, which, as I've said before, I hope we are all given the grace to do when we make a mistake. Lots of news for us to go over this week. For updates on all of the football, make sure you listen to Tuesday's episode of Good Vibes with Lynn Williams. We broke down Temwa Shuinga's 19th goal of the season, plus Marta's clap back to the Thorns on Instagram, and we covered the WSL and Champions League as well. All right, everybody, we have made it to the interview with Emily Fox. Today on the podcast, we have U.S. Women's National Team and Arsenal defender Emily Fox. Foxy was drafted number 1 overall in the 2021 NWSL draft to Racing Louisville. She's now playing for Arsenal. She's accumulated 56 caps so far with the U.S. Women's National Team. She recently won a gold medal at the 2024 Paris Olympics from Ashburn, Virginia. Foxy, welcome to the Women's Game.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to chat. Okay, so these videos of you and your Arsenal teammate Leah Williamson doing like different English language pronunciations and meanings just came out. Yeah. And I think my question is, like, have any English sayings actually really stumped you yet? Like, is there anything that you're just like, what are you guys talking about?
Not yet. I mean, when you do those quizzes, yes. I think you kind of pick out random words that at least my teammates don't really say often. But no, sometimes like different accents, like a northern accent for me is like harder to understand. But no, for the most part, they've been great, and they just make fun of my American accent. So
I know. So the thing that kept happening to me was I would like show up at when I was at Man City in 2020. I would show up at the facility in the morning and I'd walk down the hallway and everybody would go, "You okay? You
yeah,
okay?" And so then I'd like run up to Rose and be like, "Do I look upset? Like why does everybody think that I'm upset?"
yeah.
Do you say that back? Do you go, "You okay?"
They say are you all right? And exactly like you, I was like, yeah, I'm all right. Are you all
Yeah, I'm
right?
fine.
So, but now I'm like, I know that they're not expecting me to
Right.
ask them if they're okay and they're all right. So,
So I felt very American. Like I felt like I was kind of loud and like animated that the English girls were always kind of like, "Oh, here comes Sam screaming down the hallway." Do you feel American in the locker room?
like I said, a lot of times when I'm talking, like they can't help but just repeat what I say in an American accent. Um, but yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely am more, more soft spoken, like especially when I'm in like new environments, I'm kind of more to
Mhm.
myself. So maybe that's not what people think when they think of an American, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's a time and place for it, and I think too when you're in a team environment, like no matter where you're from, like you're gonna have louder people, you're gonna have quieter
Totally.
people, you're gonna have people that are going to like dance anytime they can. So I think it's just more team culture, team environment than being American.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So, you've been at Arsenal since January. Sounds like you fit right in the locker room. How are you liking living in London?
Yeah. It's been good so far. I mean, I haven't really experienced I mean, January, February, March was cold, but everyone's like, wait until like November, December, and it gets dark at 3, 4, and then you'll have experienced England. So I'm kind of waiting for that. Right now, it's like a very nice, beautiful day.
Yeah.
But no, London is great. I mean, I've been able to explore a lot of the neighborhoods. When we get a few days off, like a lot of girls go back home. They go and have 2-day trips somewhere just to relax. So that's so different from the U.S. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to kind of learn that and to like take those breaks when we get them.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's been great, and we have so many international players. So I think we're all experiencing London in a sense, and in England. So it's been good.
That's incredible. We got a fan question for you from Mad Dog 7 a.m. on X, who asked, "What's your favorite thing to do in London?"
Great question. I mean, I love the markets, and there's a lot of like pop-ups and events and kind of things that happen each month. So I try to
Yeah.
keep an eye on those. So me and my teammate, there was like a flea market pop-up and
Oh, fun.
throwing pottery.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah. So I really love to do that kind of stuff.
That
And
is so fun.
yeah, like Halloween, I guess, is not that big here, which I'm really sad about.
Oh my God, that's such a bummer. I love Halloween. Wait, Foxy, I'm taking a pottery class right now. Like,
Oh,
I just had pottery last night.
how do you like it?
I love it so much. I've been like on and off doing it for a couple of years, but I like love doing that. I'm so excited that you just said that.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. What do you make pots or mugs or what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, usually I just make like whatever cylinder that I don't mess up on. But last night I made like a little handle and I like score and slipped it onto my little cup and it'll be a mug, I hope, when it comes out.
Oh my gosh, that's way more impressive than me. So that's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh, well, just keep going and you'll learn. It's so much fun. Okay, we need to get into some soccer stuff. So,
Yeah.
I want to talk about your chant. Your Arsenal fans like immediately came up with the chant for you. It goes like this: Emily Fox from America. The first time you heard that, were you like, oh my God, wow, they accept me, they love me, I have a chant?
Um, yeah, something like that. I mean, the girls were all like, "I wonder what your chant's gonna be," and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't really think it's too soon. Like, there's no way they'll have a chant like for me. So I wasn't expecting it, and then yeah, I remember our first game at Bournemouth, they sang it like right during our warm ups, and
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But no, it was awesome. And then learning other players' chants and
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before, but it gets like so catchy and then like you start saying them in your head too. When you see them, you start saying it to them. So no, I think it's really cool, and it's a great way to connect. And yeah, I've just never experienced that. So it was, like you said, I felt very accepted.
That's incredible. It's so fun. I've been singing your chant like ever since I first heard it too. It's like so catchy. I want to talk a little bit about like your decision to move from the NWSL to Arsenal. What are you hoping to get out of your time playing in England?
First, I would say I definitely just wanted to have a change and to push myself both on and off the pitch. And I feel like when you are abroad, you do that. So that for sure. And then Champions League. And then specifically with Arsenal, I just felt like they aligned a lot with my values in terms of wanting the women's game to grow, not only for the club team, but just in England and globally. And so I thought that was really special. And then, yeah, I wanted to challenge myself and put myself in an environment that was going to be uncomfortable, like 360, like you probably experienced at City. And yeah, just see how I can learn from all of the talented players on my team, and then obviously in the WSL as well.
All of that really resonates with me. I feel like when I went to City, my main thing was like I want to grow my game and explore like almost like different styles of play, different tactics, and even I think there is a different relationship to football in England, and learning about how the fans, how much they love it, how much it is a part of their lives. I feel like my love for the game really grew from my time in England. And tactically, I learned so much from being exposed to a kind of new style, to such technical players who just grew up seemingly watching and playing all the time.
Yeah.
I want to know how you've found the game tactically in England. Like, what do you feel like you're adding to your game training at Arsenal and playing with these players?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said, it definitely is more tactical in terms of, our game plan and how we're going to break down teams. I think with that, and it resonates a lot with the national team and how we play against a lot of opponents. So I felt like coming here, I have felt more prepared in that sense, breaking down a low block, having to be patient, and then also having to be very clinical in the sense that like I might just get one cross or one final ball or one shot, and having to take that chance. So yeah, I think it's just, like you said, added more experience, and I feel like I'm still learning in terms of tactics.
So you mentioned Champions League a little bit earlier. Your team just qualified for the group stages of Champions League. And by the time this episode comes out, you'll have played your first few group stage Champions League games. We got another fan question. Jamie on X asked, what are you most excited about playing in the Champions League for the first time?
I feel like I'm just excited for the craziness and madness that occurs during Champions League, and having night games.
Yeah.
Normally we play like in the afternoon, so having that atmosphere and having a night game again, I'm excited about. But yeah, I also think it's cool being able to travel to different countries, different teams, seeing their style of play as well, like we're talking about, but really just kind of the madness of it and accepting it and going on with it and playing a home and away game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Champions League is incredible. It's so fun to play at night, to travel to like outside the country, I feel like is a really fun part of it. When I was doing it, it was during COVID, so I didn't really get to explore that much, but it was still so exciting. Like we went to Sweden and Italy. So I'm excited to watch Arsenal in the Champions League. I want to get into the national team a little bit. The day we're recording, it's just 54 days after you won gold at the Paris Olympics. And this was your first Olympics, your second ever major tournament with the US after the World Cup last year. I want to go back to before the Olympics and see if you can set the scene for us when you got the call that you had made the roster. Like, where were you? Did Emma's name just pop up on your phone? Like, tell us when you found out.
I was at home training, so in Virginia, and I remember when she called me, I was kind of waiting around all day, waiting, phone is like always on, making sure it's like has the ringer on. And then when she called me, she told me, direct, like you've made it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my brother and sister were there, so they kind of heard me saying like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So then after the call, we kind of celebrated. they're all like upstairs, so it's very you can see
Oh.
like, oh my God, I made it, and they're like, no way, from downstairs or upstairs. And then yeah, I called my parents, and it was just kind of a family affair, just kind of letting them know and being home. So
Yeah, that's like such an incredible memory. Did the Olympics feel different than the World Cup? Like was making that Olympics roster kind of did you feel differently about it?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with one of the obvious reasons, there was an entirely different coach and for the most part
Mm.
coaching staff. So I think for me that mindset is like I felt like I needed to, prove myself to the coaches and in terms of making the roster. So I didn't think anything was set in stone. So I definitely think that part was different. And then yeah, 18 player roster, so it's a lot
Mm.
smaller. And yeah, I just think especially comparing the tournaments, like they're so different.
Yeah, they also ended up so different, which I'm going to get into in a minute. You played in all 6 games, started all 6 of them. You were such a huge part of the team's success. And this was your first taste of winning a major tournament with the US. The back line together, the 4 of you, the players who had to sub in and sub in and out, Alyssa Nair, you all had such a strong tournament. You only let up 1 goal. You won the gold medal. Did you feel a sense of like, oh, I want to celebrate with the back line first?
Um, I mean, yeah, for sure. I remember going up, I think me and Nay went up to Liz after. I mean, she's unbelievable. They both are
I know.
unbelievable. So, yeah, I think definitely you kind of get that camaraderie with the entire team. But yeah, I think with the back line, you kind of just you bend but don't break, and you get through it. And I think with each game that we played, it was a different test in terms of how we are going to be tested. So yeah, I definitely think as a back line, you kind of have it that no matter what's going to happen, like we're going to hold it down and we're going to trust, the attackers and the forwards that they're going to get the job done.
Yeah. What do you think it was about the chemistry in the back line that worked so well?
I want to say like right moment, right time. Like we had been playing together for a good amount. I think now we all were kind of on the same page in terms of our tendencies and what we know each other likes, and I think that's really important. Just because sometimes, especially when you're like emergency defending, like you can't communicate. It's kind of
Hmm.
that knowing of what the player in front of you next to you is going to do. So I think we went over it a lot in terms of um, just going over film, lots of meetings. So I think we just really worked on it, like behind the scenes. And then on the field, we felt confident and like took a breath when the game started and was like, we can do this.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch. I think kind of recognizing that the team so rarely was getting broken down, but then knowing that you could emergency defend, and we all just from as fans, we all just trusted you guys so much. And then also knowing that Alyssa was back there, it was like we're just never gonna get scored on. Um, the Olympics that I was at in 2021 had such strict protocols due to the pandemic. So something I want to know is you won gold, your friends and family, I assume, were there, and you got to celebrate with them in Paris. What was that like?
It was amazing. We ended up going after the game to the Nike house, and they had kind of converted this historic building and really made it their own. And so it was beautiful. And yeah, parents came, sister came, and then the whole team. So it was really fun. It felt great to be able to celebrate and have that moment just because a lot of girls were going back in the season. Some of us were going into preseason. So I always think it's important when you can to have that time to celebrate. And like you said, my family was there, so it was really special.
Oh, that sounds so fun. Well, this was also the first Olympics and first major tournament for U.S. women's national team head coach Emma Hayes. And just 72 days after she took over the team, you guys won a gold medal. So everybody is so curious about what Emma is like. I want to know for you, how was it having her come in and what is she like as a coach?
It was amazing. I mean, I think I was really excited because one, she's the best. And I think at Chelsea, she had that, the winning culture and was so successful there. And so I think for me and for a lot of players, we were just really excited and wanting to learn and to grow individually and as a team. And I think with her and her entire staff, the transition was so smooth. And what I really like about Emma is I think, tactically and technically and soccer wise, she's excellent, but she's also excellent at the team culture, the emotional side, the social side, or aspect of it, which is also just as, if not more important in major tournaments and with a national team when, you're not really with the players 24/7 like you are at a club. So, yeah, I just think she's great. And, having her son, Casey's son, Crystal, like it kind of creates a tight knit group and brings a lot more like humility to it when you have kids around. So
I mean, there were kids around sometimes at the camps I was at. It does give it a more of like a family vibe. Yeah, that's really, really sweet. You mentioned that Emma is really good at like the personal and social aspect. What does that look like at a world tournament where, in my experience, the stakes are so high, so you're kind of operating at this really high level of stress? But how was she able to almost put you guys at ease, like socially and personally? Like, is it just in the way she talks to you? Did you do certain activities as a team? Like, what did that look like at the Olympics?
yeah, it was a little bit of both. So before the Olympics, like we tried to do some team bonding stuff. We went out to eat, had some like activities to do, which was nice. And then in the Olympics, we did a lot of team meetings that were more team culture and kind of showed a bit more vulnerability in ourselves. So we kind of had to open up to the group um, and just talk about things that I don't think I ever really would express like or had expressed before. So I think that's one thing. And then also like Emma has a coach as well. And so I think having her, it it just allows you to kind of bring it down and again with the humility and
Mm.
Emma showed too that like she's a human being um and two like you said we all know it's high stake like sometimes we don't need to know that like we already know and so
Oh,
I think Emma was really good at that in terms of how she talked and just kind of giving us confidence and belief in ourselves and I think that was one thing that made a big difference.
yeah, that actually really resonated with me. Like, it's almost like you don't need to be beat over the head with how important this is. We've all been waiting for this our whole lives. So it's almost like you need to take that edge off a little bit and be like, it's just a game. It's just soccer. You know what you're doing. We'll see how it goes. Have you had any conversations with Emma about your experience at Arsenal? Like, I know with Emma's history coaching at Chelsea, I wonder if her experience in the WSL is almost like an advantage for you because Emma is aware of the tactical nuance that you're facing. Do you guys talk about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, well, so Emma's not that far from, like, she lives in North London area too. So I think, we had that connection when we were talking about it. But yeah, I mean, she just said me coming over here and playing for Arsenal was going to be great for my development and just how, talented and stuff my team was. And again, just emphasizing that getting that Champions League football and getting those tactical nuances, like you mentioned, would really
Mm.
help grow my game. So,
For sure. You should invite Emma to a pottery class.
yeah. See how it goes. We'll both probably struggle, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, that would be like so funny. I would pay to see that. As she continues to grow into this US women's national team and she's here for the long haul and the next world tournament is years away, do you think that she'll lean more into tactics, kind of like what we talked about with Arsenal and Chelsea, this kind of more tactical style? Or do you think she'll lean more into a more athletic and transitional style that's maybe historically more typical of the US women's national team?
I think as a whole, the women's game is growing more tactically, and
Hmm.
teams are getting better and better, and they're getting more disciplined. So I just think with that, like to your point, we're always going to have that inner locker in terms of the directness, the athleticism.
Hmm.
We're always going to have that. And I think with games like when we play Brazil, we're not afraid to unlock that and show that.
Right.
But I also think adding parts of the tactical components that she's really good at. I think as a team, we need that.
Right.
Because when we're going up against, England and Netherlands like we were in December, um, having that tactical flexibility and nuances will be so important for us. So I think the game generally is going more in that direction.
Yeah, that's a really smart way of thinking about it. I think knowing that the U.S. women's national team, like you said, always has those added benefits to their game. Of course we are athletic. Of course we can play really quickly in transition, but layering in that tactical bit more and more will make us just so well-rounded. And I think that's exactly what we saw at the Olympics. You mentioned the games against England and the Netherlands later in the year in December, and there's also this October FIFA window coming up. When you think about what's next for you and the national team, you're kind of emerging and becoming a leader of one of the more experienced players. You're not new anymore. How do you envision your role growing with Emma, with the team, as we kind of go into this period of there isn't a world tournament for a little bit?
I think, like you said, with the 3 games and the 2, it's a huge opportunity for everyone and for Emma and her staff to kind of take a breath and really have the time that they probably want to lay their foundations and get everything in order. So I think for me, just, whatever I can do to help the team on and off the pitch. And I think we have so many young players and talent coming up in the national team and pro. So, if players are coming in, like, how can I help them be more comfortable? I think especially with this year and last year, you've seen the success in that of, like, giving young players the opportunity and being in environments where they feel comfortable. They can just shine and be creative and do amazing things. So, yeah, I think things like that. And like you said, just staying true to ourselves. But I like the idea of us getting better and better and never settling.
Yeah. Super exciting. Okay, Foxy, we asked fans for questions for you.
Okay.
And literally everybody had the same thing that they wanted to know, and I want to see if you can guess what they all want to know.
Is it soccer related or no?
No.
No. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Everybody wants to know your skincare routine.
Oh, oh my God.
What an incredible compliment, Foxy. Can you just give us one tip, one thing you always do, one product you use?
Yeah.
Give us something. This is my last question for you.
Yeah. I think I've said this before. I'm crazy about my sunscreen.
Okay.
All of my teammates from all over will be like, she's crazy. She's always rain, wind, coldness. I'm always putting sunscreen on no matter what.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just a habit now.
Okay. Do you have a favorite brand or do you just use whatever's available?
I like to try new things, try new products. I really like Korean skincare. And I like Used to the People, which is an American brand.
Okay. You know what I have is that, I think it's called Supergoop.
Yeah.
I have that one.
That's a good one. Good
Okay,
tips.
thanks. Okay, good. I'm gonna go put some on right now. Do you have one more tip to share about the skincare? Did I cut you off?
No, I'm someone who likes to try new things and try new skincare, so it's always hard when people ask me that question, but yeah, I would say sunscreen. I always wash my face at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. She's just blessed with beautiful skin, everybody. But we can all try sunscreen. Foxy, thank you so much for being here with us. It was so fun watching you this summer at the Olympics and having played with you a little bit, just seeing this journey that you've been on, going to Arsenal, winning a gold medal. It's been such a joy for me to follow. So I'm rooting for you with Arsenal during Champions League and at this upcoming U.S. Women's National Team camp. So good luck, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sam.
That was so fun, Foxy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for listening. Foxy was so much fun. I loved hearing from her about how much the team loves having Emma Hayes as manager of the U.S. Women's National Team. Emma has been such a topic of conversation here at the women's game, so I just love hearing about her and her approach to leading the team from the players themselves. Next week's guest is another U.S. Women's National Team defender, Naomi Girma. Chatting with Naomi was so awesome. She has cemented herself as a current and a future leader of the U.S. Women's National Team, and Naomi's just one of those people that everybody loves so much and always speaks so highly of. We got to chat in depth about the Olympics, her thoughts on leadership, and even her mental health initiative, Create the Space. It's a really special interview, and it's all part of our U.S. Women's National Team week next week, which includes a special interview with Mal Swanson dropping on Monday, thanks to our friends at Michelob Ultra. Then there's an episode of Good Vibes with Becky Sauerbrunn dropping on Tuesday. Wednesday will be an all-new episode of Sammy Banana Phone, the show where we ask you to be my co-host and call in with questions about the U.S. Women's National Team that you want answers to. So, to prepare for that show, we need you to call us. The number is 855-611-4050. You can ask me about whatever you want to know. We're going to be talking Iceland and Argentina, Kelly O'Hara, who will be honored at the game on October 27th, Emma Hayes, and any other players on the roster you have questions about. Give me a call and ask away. I can't wait to hear from you. Again, the number is 855-611-4050. Then on Thursday, which is U.S. Women's National Team game day, we'll be dropping a Friendlies interview with Naomi Girma that I just mentioned and going live after the U.S. Women's National Team game on our YouTube channel with Becky Sauerbrunn. No sleep next week. So make sure you're following the podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you won't miss anything during U.S. Women's National Team Palooza next week. You can also follow along with us on social media at Women's Game MIB. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll see you soon.